So are you getting the mails etc. जो कुछ भी आना है. मनु ने पूछ के गया, is there any problem? Are the videos working fine? Fine. There is no voice issue in the video etc. Give me a past year question booklet. So this was one question in the 2016 paper. How will you approach this question? We have done yesterday. A geological structure is a dominant on the landform and it is reflected them. How do we approach? It is talking about structure or a Davisian theory. It is talking about the structure, not time. So whose law is this? Thornbury. So how will be the introduction? Maybe you can, there are two ways of writing this introduction in this. In this introduction, one way is whether criticize Davis. For criticizing Davis, you will have to write uska statement that according to Davis, the landform is an outcome of structure, process and time. But he gave too much importance to time, which was then later on criticized by numerous geomorphologists, and they said that the most important is structure. Structure matlab what is the rock made up of. Fine. And then enough, क्योंकि हमें ये लिखना है 150 words में, इसमें 20-30 words are there. So this is the fundamental law of geomorphology which was given by Thornbury, and then you come to the body. So in the body, what will be your approach? You have to define first what is structure. Then you will have to give the examples. Once you tell the structure, automatically इसमें आ जाएगा. There are two types of rocks. One is the hard rock and the other is the soft rock. In this hard and soft rock, next you will talk about the differential erosion of hard and soft rocks. And you will tell how the processes are operating on this, and then you will give an example. The best example is which plateau? Peninsular plateau. Bas, khatam answer. Conclusion is an example itself, right? There is no need of conclusion. Or if you want to conclude, you can conclude that other than the structure, processes also play an important role. Fine, anything out of this. If you want to draw a diagram, we don't have a specific diagram for this, but if you want to draw a diagram, you can take the diagram. So एग्जाम में डायग्राम अगर ऐसे बना सकते हो तो वेरी फाइन, अदरवाइज one is the initial landform, the other is the present day landform. What we have shown ki the softer rocks have got eroded at a faster rate than the harder rocks. In the exam, try to make the diagram with the pen rather than pencil. Fine. You will save time. Secondly, contrast अच्छा लगता है black pen and blue pen का rather than the pencil. You can use brown color also. You can use, except for red, green, you can use any color. So will you write and show this to me? Follow this general rule of So the same question has been repeated again and again. Language may have changed. Landscape is a function of structure, process and stage. Critically analyze. देखो critically analyze यहाँ पे discuss. Why? Because this is a true statement. Other statement in the 2018 is landscape. Landscape is a function of structure, yes, process and stage. Why the questions critically analyze? Because यहाँ पे you have to criticize Davis. Because the stage is not that important. What is important is the structure and the processes that are operating. Fine. इससे पहले climate, slope and rock structure influence evolution of channels. Evolution means erosion of river channels. क्या? Climate, slope and structure. So ये सब किस में आता है? Process and structure. Again UPSC is asking you why structure and processes are important rather than the stage. That is what I say. Questions are more or less repeated. 2016, 2017, 2018. The same question is coming but with the change in the language. If you go some years back, attempt the classification of geomorphic processes. Geomorphic processes, glaciated, erode the endogenetic, exogenetic, and then exogenetic में glaciation, there is rainfall, then wind. We have not done this, but are you getting how to approach the question? Don't get afraid by looking at the questions here. Again, the same question has been repeated as it is 2005 में. Structure is a dominant control factor for the evolution of the landforms. Same ही है. Structure is the dominant control on the landforms. उसमें लिखा है evolution of the landforms. That is why prepare this 7-8 laws which we are doing. ये अभी तक most complex laws we have done. इसके बाद ये laws are more or less very simple. So structure will determine how much erosion is going to occur. What is the other place, that other thing that is going to determine the rate of erosion is the processes. Processes, if the same process is acting on the two different rocks, then the hard rock will be more resistant to erosion. जो soft rock है, जिसमें maybe chalk है, जिसमें the limestone is there, it will be eroded much faster. So processes also will play a role. And if the process is acting, we have seen in the photos, can you distinguish which process is acting? If there is a soft alluvial soil, means you will say, this area has experienced a riverine erosion. If there is moraine, very very soft soil, jo whitish color hai, you will say yes, it has experienced glaciated erosion. If you find black soil, you will say what it has experienced, volcanic activities. So you can determine with the help of processes. अगर रेत है, if there is sand, you know that past में also this climate has been the desert type of climate. So you can properly distinguish the different processes that are acting on the landform, and therefore can I say geological processes also, like the geological structure, play an important role, but geological processes leave their distinct imprint on the landform. What I told you in the second lecture, that agar aap peninsular India mein when you go, you will find certain mountains and you will be surprised to see that they are having a glaciated evidence, glacier ka evidence. Why? Because if the normal mountain looks like this, if this is the normal mountain, what will be the glacial ka evidence? You are removing one scoop, you are removing other scoop, so a normal mountain will get converted into mountain which will be like this, as if somebody has eroded the sides of the mountain. Getting it? So, or you will better understand it here. ये है अगर normal mountain, so the glaciated mountain, किसी ने यहाँ से निकाला, किसी ने यहाँ से निकाला, so this entire part will be eroded due to glaciers, this entire part will be eroded due to glaciers, this will be removed, what will remain is only this shaded line which I will call now as a mountain. बाकी सब जगह it will be whitish it will be covered by ice, or it will be having a lake. So this will be eroded, this will be eroded, and this is how the mountain may look like. If you go to Vaishno Devi, and you will see numerous caves. Why? Because if this is the mountain, some part of this mountain was having limestone. If this was the limestone, is limestone a hard rock or a soft rock? Soft rock. Limestone, kabhi bhi doubt hai, you remember limestone is nothing but chuna. It is a soft rock. So that soft rock, when it mixes with water, it gets eroded. And therefore, wherever we have limestone ka history, what happens? Rainwater will go down through the gaps inside the mountain, because and as soon as it comes in the contact with the limestone, it will start eroding the limestone. Whatever the limestone is there, it will start eroding. So generally the regions which are having limestone ka rocks, they will be having big caves, and therefore Vaishno Devi mein you find caves, and on the caves limestone or calcium will start dripping from the caves. So you will find something like projections, what we will call it as stalactites and stalagmites inside the caves, or pani tapakta rahega. Present is key to the past. This was once a karst topography. This, had there been no rainfall, would this limestone would have been destroyed? No. Limestone gets destroyed only because water reacts with calcium in the limestone rocks. Limestone is white in color because it is rich in calcium. Calcium will react with water to form an acid. What is the name of acid? Carbonic acid. And then that acid will erode away the rocks. Fine? That is why a little bit calcium is added in your toothpaste also, so that weak acid will destroy the germs. Nowadays, gel mein silica is added. Again, more concentrated form of calcium, because they will destroy the germs. But बहुत ज़्यादा brush करने के बाद enamel भी खराब हो जाता है. Therefore, sensitive, Pepsodent sensitive, because it has less calcium. All this is erosion only. वहाँ पे rocks का erosion हो रहा है, यहाँ पे teeth का erosion हो रहा है. Fine. What is whitening of the teeth? Whitening of the teeth is they will put in microcrystals in it. Why doctors don't recommend? Only advertisement industry recommends, because if you have microcrystals, they will rub and ultimately they will remove the protective layer of your teeth. Obviously, the teeth will look white, but you will have a problem of sensitivity. Getting it? क्या होता है उसमें? Plastics, microbeads. Getting it? So the same thing is happening here. So that is why present is key to the past climatic conditions, as well as even if the present climatic condition is there, it is going to have a distinct imprint. So during Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization, the rainfall was very high in West India. So if you dug deep in the northwest India, whether Punjab, Rajasthan, Haryana, you will find big river valleys which have gone dry below. But today, this is a desert or semi-desert region. So sand you will find on the top. नीचे जाओगे, you will find the different kind. So present is key to the past, and therefore the next law of geomorphology is Geomorphic processes. Geomorphic processes operate at different rate. Operate at different rate. And therefore Earth has different relief features. Earth has different relief features. Earth surface has different relief feature या Earth has different relief features. This is one your past year question का language. यही पूछा है discuss. Or the real law is take down official language means real language. To a large degree, Earth surface possesses relief. Relief मतलब change in the height. Earth surface possesses relief. Because the geomorphic processes operate at different rates, differential rates. Fine. This is what Thornbury said. Pehla wala is what UPSC said. दोनों का meaning is same. Fine. What you are going to write now? This is what you can write. Q दिए है agent of erosion में different. This is the question is asking you कि you can answer in both the ways. Geomorphic processes, relief Earth has relief features because geomorphic processes operate at different rate. So you have to explain first what is process, then you have to explain why they operate at different rates. Don't worry if your approach is his way or if your approach is something else. If your approach is this, you can concentrate only on one agent erosion and talk in the mountainous region because uska speed is greater, uska erosion capacity is greater, it will form deep valleys and then it will erode the mountains. Then it will do deposition and depositions it will form plains at some other place. Fine, this is one way of approaching. Or you can say reverse, water will act differently at different place, wind will act differently at different place and thus present different relief features. And both the answers are right answers. Fine. You do in the examination whatever you feel is easy. Fine. So there is two ways of approaching. Earth has different relief because maybe wind has less power than water and therefore wind cannot erode as compared to water. Or there is one way of approaching. Water has different power at different places and therefore uska erosion capacity changes. Because uska erosion capacity changes, therefore the landform ka height keeps on changing. Jitna zyada erosion, the more the erosion, the height of the landform will be less. Less the erosion, the height of the landform will be greater. But what is going to determine how the erosion rate differs? Structure. So you have to, the crux of the question is geomorphic processes operate at different rate because structure is different. Fine? Because the structure is also different and therefore understanding. See, today's lecture, yesterday first 3 lectures are complex. Uske baad things will be just an application of these topics. Interior of the earth hum padhenge. UPSC has asked it once in 1998. Itna easy questions nahi aayega. Then uske baad it is continental drift, sea floor spreading, which you are going to study in GS here also. Fir se complexity badhegi when we will come to Davis and Penck. Fine, but this you will find very, very complex. That you will find easy because you would have learned many things before that. You will start understanding the next topics once we start, once you do all the laws and start applying them. Fine, but answer 150 words you can write it here also. Why we are doing this? Because from 2010 questions are coming from this area, not from the other topics. Getting it? So you can take down. The earth has different relief features in the form of mountains, plateaus, plains. Or the shapes of the rocks differ. Because the intensity and the type of the geomorphic processes, as well as the type of the geomorphic processes vary from region to region. Type of geomorphic processes vary from region to region. This variation may be due to, full stop के बाद, this variation may be due to different climatic conditions, or due to structure. Or due to structure. Or due to different structure. Look at the different climatic conditions first. If this is a mountain, fine, and this is a profile, उसके बाद there is a sea level. This is how the landform will pass from youth, mature and old age. Fine, youthful stage, mature stage, and very near to the sea level, the old age. In the youthful stage, yesterday we have seen the speed of the river is greater. Because the speed of the river is greater, it can carry large amount of sediments, and because it can carry large amount of sediments, so sediments will rub the ocean, rub the sea, the river bed. After rubbing the river bed, they will carve out the river bed and make the river bed very deep. Now, if this is a river bed, कल ही मैंने बताया था, फिर से I am repeating this, and if the river that is flowing here, understand, and if this is the stone, will this part of a river, water, यहाँ पे भी पानी है, यहाँ पे भी पानी है, fine, नीचे भी पानी है, and we will call this entire thing as a river. Which part is going to experience friction? All this part. So I am doing it in blue color. All this part is going to experience friction. Friction reduces the speed or increases the speed? Reduces the speed. Is this part experiencing friction? No. So यहाँ पे this part of a river will be flowing with great speed. Sides of the river will be flowing with comparatively lesser speed. Getting it? If you have gone swimming in the river, you will note that swimming in the middle is dangerous. Generally, boats और सब डूब जाती है when they go into the middle. Why? And therefore, whenever you are swimming in the river, the law is never go straight crossing the channel. Always go this way, so that automatically you will increase the speed and then the speed will decrease. हमें इससे swimming से लेना देना नहीं. We are concerned with the stone. What is going to happen with the stone? Because this is flowing with lesser speed, the stone will be here, and because ऊपर का part is flowing with a greater speed, ऊपर का part of the stone will start circulating. So what will happen? Stone will go in a circular manner because नीचे का part is holding it and ऊपर का part is making it move. It will not move forward because नीचे का part is holding. It will not remain at the same position because ऊपर का part is moving with a greater speed. But what will happen? वो घूमेगा. It will move in a circular manner, just like drilling machine. Getting it? And what do the drilling machine do? It will start making hole. And because of making hole, this valley will ultimately become very V-shaped valley. This process is, you don't have to know the process, you just have to know the name, is known as pothole drilling. This is even in GS. Why the V-shaped valleys are formed? Due to pothole drilling. What is pothole drilling? Stone ghumna, just like a drilling machine. Why? I have explained you the process. It is not required for the exam. Getting it? Doubt here? So, here, because of the pothole drilling, what we will find in this, we get very deep, narrow, V-shaped valleys. Fine? But as we come here, the work of a river is, this is the side view, this is the side view, this is also the side view, but this is cross-sectional view. As we come here, the river will start depositing, and therefore V-shaped valleys will be converted into U-shaped valleys. And as we come here, the U-shaped valleys will become more and more shallow, and they will become very broad. And unka height will decrease, it will be obviously near the sea level. So this is what you will see in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. This is what you will see in the lower parts of Uttarakhand after Rishikesh, Haridwar. This is what you will see in UP, Bihar and Assam. Very wide rivers. Here rivers are never wide, they are very deep. So these are gorgeous. Why is this? Because processes are different. यहाँ पे the major process is erosion. यहाँ पे the major process is deposition. Fine? Second example. ये सब लिखना कुछ भी नहीं है. ये सब I am giving you to understand the process. There is a stone in the desert. Fine, this is a stone in the desert. Which is the major agent of erosion in the desert? Wind. Water is there? No, there is a wind. River and wind में there or river, wind and glacier में the difference is glacier has one specific direction, river has one specific direction, wind keeps on changing the directions. Because the wind keeps on changing the direction, it can erode the rock from all the sides. If it is blowing in this direction, it will erode this side of the rock. If it is blowing in the other direction, it will erode the back side. If it is moving in this direction, it will erode the front side. So, wind does not have any specific direction. Getting it? Wind keeps on changing. And the second major difference is, wind is an active agent of erosion only near the ground. As we go up, wind ka intensity reduces. Getting it? Erosion, wind cannot do. Erosion is done by the particles that are carried by the wind. Similarly, river cannot do erosion. River ke liye erosion karta hai the particles that are carried by the river, that is the stone. But wind cannot lift a big stone and go flow. Wind will take small sand particles and flow. Fine? So, wind is an active agent of erosion only 180, 150 centimeters या maximum 2 feet from the ground. उसके बाद it loses उसका power of erosion. Getting it? Have you ever seen कि you are walking, wind is blowing and big stones are coming and hitting you? नहीं. Very small stones will go into the eyes. Fine? Especially if you are small. If you become big, if you go into the top of a building, wind we cannot carry that stone except अगर cyclone है तो. Fine? Sand particles. So what happens? Only the lower part of the rock is getting eroded. And because the lower part of rock is getting eroded from all the sides, this rock which was initially rounded over the period of time will get converted into a rock. This only lower part is eroded and it looks like a mushroom, and we will call this as a mushroom rock. So if there is a mushroom rock, if you go to any place and that place is getting very heavy rainfall, but you see a mushroom rock there, you being a geography student, can you apply present is key to the past? Means in the past, this region was desert. Getting? Process was different, therefore rocks are different. Getting it? So this is how different relief features are there. And third is, glaciers. ये है river, ये है wind, and third is glacier. Glacier is huge mass of ice. River में stones cannot float. What is the property of river or wind? The property of river or wind is जितना ज़्यादा speed it can carry large amount of sediments, जितना speed कम it will drop the sediments and it will carry smaller amount of sediments. So in the river there is difference in the sediments it can carry. It can carry big stones only if the speed is greater. It can carry small stones if the speed decreases. If the speed further decreases, it will drop the small stones, it will be carrying only sand. And when the speed further decreases near the sea coast, sand se bhi chota particle it can carry. So delta is always made up of, a sea beach is always made up of very small sands. Fine? But if you go to Uttarakhand, you will find big stones. Why? Because carrying capacity depends upon speed and strength. But glacier में ऐसा कोई difference नहीं है. Glacier में big, small stones are all carried by the glacier because it is solid. So a glacier is coming, बीच में आदमी है, कुर्सी है, stone है, rock है, sand है, सब glacier लेके जाएगा. It will not differentiate. Wind will look at the stone. It may carry a man with himself, but stone it cannot carry. River it may carry a man, but stone को bifurcate करके फिर से निकल जाएगा. Glacier cannot do because matter solid है. So glacier will carry all the particles along with itself. When the glacier comes down, you will find glaciers are having different kind of materials. So glacier is carrying different types of rocks along with itself. Fine. But what happens? Glacier melts during the summer season, or glacier melts. In geography, as a geography student, you should now know that glacier melts even after certain specific ice age. So Pleistocene ice age के बाद most of the glaciers of the world have melted. Once they get melted, it gets converted into river. अब river वो बड़े stones carry नहीं कर सकता. पानी निकल जाएगा, water will drain away. So if a glacier comes in this region, there is an end of an ice age, it gets converted into water, and what it is carrying then inside is exposed. Getting it? So what do we find in the glaciated region? We'll find some of the rocks which are so confusingly placed that you cannot tell कि ये कैसा था. There can be a big rock, there can be small rock, उसके ऊपर small rock, उसके ऊपर big rock. And this rocks, I'm just giving you an example, these rocks are known as erratics. Why erratics? Because a geomorphologist who started studying first thought कि ये landform कैसे बना. They could not come to a conclusion. They got irritated. And therefore, because it does not have any law of physics, इन्होंने नाम ही दे दिया erratics. Why? Because once they were in the glaciers, they were under force. Because they were under force, they got stuck to each other. And once the glacier melted, rocks जैसे थे वैसे ही रह गए. And they formed a landform. And these are known as erratics. So, process is different, landforms are different. Getting it? This is what you have to write here in the answer with some of the examples. Easiest example is mushroom rock. Easiest example is erratics. So that is an example of Pleistocene ice age glaciation. Pleistocene ice age glaciation is there. That is why. Telangana ho, Maharashtra ho, you will find, ya Karnataka ho, you will find these things, but of very old rocks. But you will find the best erratics in Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh. Glaciated topography. Even today there are glaciers. Right? Getting it? So can I continue? There is no need of diagram. मैं बनाने बोलूँगा तभी बनाना. Will include some points, then only will make the diagrams. Fine? So next. The processes operate with varying intensity. The processes operate with varying intensity because operate with varying intensity. अब intensity क्यों different है? Intensity strength because structure is different. Strength of the processes is different because structure is different. You cannot erode this, but you can easily erode this because it is a soft rock. So processes operate with varying intensity because lithology or rock structure changes. Rock structure changes. Rock structure changes. The hard rock is eroded easily. Hard rock is eroded easily. Yes, is eroded easily if the speed of a river is greater. If speed of a river is greater, which is observed in the mountainous regions. Getting it? We are talking about the erosion of the hard rock, but kahan pe? In the mountainous region. On the other hand, the same hard rock will be more resistant to erosion in the plains. Same hard rock will be more resistant to erosion in the plains dividing the river channel. Dividing the river channel. And hence the relief will be different. Draw this diagram. Relief will be different. What is this relief? V-shaped valley. Are you understanding this diagram? There is a big rock, water is coming, and because it cannot erode, because उसका speed नहीं है plains में, उसका erosion capacity नहीं है, so क्या हो रहा है? पानी different channels में shift हो रहा है. Getting it? See, there is a river which is flowing, and it is coming now into the plain region. Because it is coming in the plain region, imagine a condition कि यहाँ these are very hard rocks in the plain region. Had this been mountainous region, the speed of a river is so great कि ये rocks को ले जाती. Now the speed is not there, so what it will do? It will get divided. After that, it will get divided. Here, it will get divided. And this channel is what is known as a braided channel. And you study this in GS. Only example, Brahmaputra has largest riverine islands in the world. Now, these are nothing but islands. बाकी सब जगह पानी है. Example, Majuli Island. This is an example of an breaded chai. Braid, choti. It is always intertwined. So braided channel हमेशा mix होता है. That is why Bogeybill Bridge was such a major construction. What happens in Brahmaputra? River becomes so wide कि यहाँ तक तो river is normal, अरुणाचल तक. But once it comes to Brahmaputra, Assam, it is a flat. Lower Assam is a very flat. Assam की topography in the lower region of Assam is same like Great Plains. It is a very flat surface. So when it comes in the flat surface, the speed of Brahmaputra has decreased. And Brahmaputra is carrying so large amount of sediments. Arunachal said directly it comes to Assam. So it deposits big rocks. Once it deposits big rocks, next current जो है पानी का वो change करता है direction and it may go in any direction. So there is a place in Brahmaputra जहाँ पे there is a world record of river shifting उसका course in 24 hours by 9 kilometers. Means river is flowing in this particular direction. Fine. Next day, 9 kilometers in this particular direction. What is the problem of this? Because of this, you cannot do any kind of a planning activity. You know, chalo, river is always flowing here, you construct a house here. Ab it has shifted 9 kilometers. Means it will go through your house. That is why Brahmaputra is known as sorrow of Assam. Because any river which will shift, it will cause floods. Shifting its course means it's going in any direction it wants. That is not the case with Godavari. बाजू में रॉक्स है, इट कैनॉट इरोड पेनिनसुलर रॉक्स. गेटिंग इट? वो एक ही डायरेक्शन में जाएगी. और कोसी, सौरो ऑफ बिहार, द सेम थिंग. It's coming from Nepal carrying large amount of sediments. It comes to the Bihar and it will shift uska direction. So India and Nepal government to control the floods of Kosi make a very big dam. What does Kosi do? Again shifts uska direction. That dam becomes useless. Then we have to extend one more dam here. Fine. Similarly was the case with Yamuna once upon a time. So those who are local in Delhi, you will see Britishers had constructed very bridges made up of iron to cross Yamuna. आज वो लोहा ब्रिज it is present near CP etc. वहाँ से ट्रेन जाती है, buses जाती है, या this thing comes. These are because Yamuna is to shift uska direction. Then what the Britishers did? Britishers filled the Yamuna with big stones. And so that it shifted there. And on that flood plains of Yamuna, they constructed a planned city known as Luton's Delhi or New Delhi, with uska business district being Connaught Place. Otherwise, where the Connaught Place is there today was once a region where Yamuna used to flow. Getting it? Now that is the difference in the engineering, how the technology can use it. So this is the example. Process दोनों जगह same है, but structure differs, उसका power differs. Fine. Again, next point. The processes may also differ. The processes may also differ because of changes in the climatic conditions. Because of the changes in the climatic conditions. Changes in the climatic conditions. Hot and humid climates cause more weathering and erosion of the rocks. And therefore, topography or relief is generally flat, while the cold climates will have comparatively higher topographies, because of less weathering. So this is true even for India. Which part of Himalayas get more rainfall? The one which is on the west or one which is on the east? East. So if we consider the Himalayas, this is how the Himalayas are in India. So we will see if one part of the Himalayas is western, one part is eastern Himalayas. Can you see the shape of the Himalayas is such that this western Himalaya in the state of Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand and Himachal, they are very far away from the Tropic of Cancer, and this is very near to the Tropic of Cancer. So this receives very heavy rainfall. It is also near to the Bay of Bengal Sea. So this receives very heavy rainfall. This receives comparatively less rainfall, and सारे बड़े mountains इस section में in India as compared to the other section. One reason is vegetation, one reason is climate. There is another reason also, that is the geosyncline, but this is also one reason. Where is the biggest mountains of India? In this region. K2 Godwin Austen, Annapurna, Mount Everest. These are comparatively smaller with the exception of Kanchenjunga. But Kanchenjunga is in the temperate region, not in the tropics. This is very, very small hills, this part of the Himalayas, right? But itna exam mein likhne ka scope nahi hota. It's just for understanding, right? As the climatic conditions change, winter में rainfall नहीं होगा, snowfall होगा. Snowfall, why rainfall? Jet stream आएगा तो snowfall. कश्मीर में rainfall और snowfall. So it is cold climate. It will result into, I told you, precipitation. So precipitation is rainfall and snowfall. If the outside temperature is less than 0 degrees Celsius, precipitation will be snow. If it is more than 0 degrees Celsius, it will be rain. So if you go to Kashmir, what is the outside temperature? Less than 0 degrees Celsius. So it will result into snowfall. As you go up to a greater height, temperature decreases. So if cloud is formed very near to the surface, rainfall. If its cloud is formed very high from the surface, snowfall. उतना दूर जाने के लिए हीट नहीं है तो माउंटेन्स तो है. एयर थोड़ी टनल से जाएगी. एयर विल बी फोर्स टू राइज अप बाय द माउंटेन्स एंड इट विल कूल. इफ देयर इज अ माउंटेन बैरियर, व्हाट विल हैपन टू द एयर? It will be rising upwards. Getting it? No. Glacier will cause erosion. Snowfall will never cause erosion. There is a difference between glacier and snow. Glacier is ice and snow is snow. क्या difference है दोनों में? आपके फ्रिज में क्या है? Deep freezer. Snow tray, ice tray. Ice tray. So what is ice? Ice is always hard. Snow is always soft. Glacier causes erosion because वो ice है. And ice is always hard. जो ice cubes बनते हैं, हम कभी नहीं कहते snow cubes. We call it as ice cubes. That is the difference between snow and ice. Snow is very, very soft. You will enjoy the snowfall. Ice you will never enjoy because ice is ole. Hail जो गिरता है, hailstorm is ice particles. Snow never here. It is fine. That is the difference. So snow is never harmful. It is the ice that is harmful. क्यों बनता है ice from the snow? When anything continuously melts and freezes, so it will get converted into solid crystalline form, what we will call as ice. So if you are having old type का fridges at your here rooms, you see tray के नीचे snow banega, which, and cubes will be in that box. That box के नीचे there is snow. So frost free refrigerator में नहीं है, but without frost free refrigerator, पुराने refrigerator you had ice, snow forming नीचे automatically due to cooling. And ice कहाँ पे? When you take melted part, that is water, put it into the tray and then put it in that, then that gets converted into ice. That is the basic difference. Understanding? Hindi में there is no difference, it is barf only, barf का गोला. But in English, it should be snow का गोला, because we take the ice, we crush it, and then it becomes soft, then we put that all things thing. Otherwise, snow you cannot eat. You can eat ice, you cannot eat. You can eat snow. Chuski I am saying about. So, getting it? As the climatic condition changes, which may be due to shifting of continents, or maybe due to height. Height also results into change in the climatic condition. As you go up, it starts getting cooled. You go from Delhi to any hill station, climate changes, or due to height. The processes operating will differ. And therefore relief features will differ. Getting it? So processes are ultimately determined by what? Structure. So conclusion. The difference in the relief features on the Earth's surface, is not just due to processes alone. But also due to the structure. Processes alone, but also due to the structure. But the entire landform on the Earth's surface is an outcome of either endogenetic processes or exogenetic processes. The endogenetic processes such as volcanism. Before I dictate you this line, what is happening on the Earth? It is nothing but a fight between endogenetic processes, जो Earth के नीचे से are coming, and exogenetic processes, which are coming from the atmosphere. If the endogenetic processes are dominant, height of the landform will be high. If the exogenetic processes are dominant, the height of the landform will be less. So what we see in the Himalayas, though the Himalayas are getting eroded every day, still we can conclude that Himalayas ka height is increasing. Iska matlab which forces are dominant? Endogenetic. Plate tectonics is more important than river erosion. Isliye the height of the Himalayas is increasing. Once upon a time, there will be some time, after some years, endogenetic force will stop operating. Indian plate will stop moving. The height of the Himalayas will become stable. Once the height of the Himalayas will become stable, there is no endogenetic force. So, exogenetic force will erode and thus the height of the Himalayas will again reduce. But it will take large amount of time. इसलिए डेविस कहता है structure, process and time. Fine? That is why we follow Davis. Getting it? UPSC का syllabus is remember Davisian. Indian geography is mostly Davisian. We don't follow Penck. क्योंकि Penck has written everything in German language and उसका translation डेविस के followers ने जानबूझ के wrong किया so that डेविस को follow करेंगे लोग and Penck का criticism करेंगे. ये भी एक politics था. Remember, all the Penck का books which were translated, इसलिए Penck की theory किसी को समझ में नहीं आती. Nobody understands Penck की theory because the followers of Davis only translated Penck in English and they translated it all wrong so that Penck will get criticized and Davis will be the hero. Fine? So this is what has happened. इसलिए nobody in the world follows Penck. They write only in conclusion कि yes, Penck was right. But we study Davis. Getting it? Because all the translations have occurred long time. Ab nobody is interested. Now Germany is not interested in translating in English because Davis and Penck are old. Ab aa raha hai sab computer modeling, systems analysis, but not in our syllabus. There is no syllabus mein systems analysis in geomorphology. It is only in human geography. Fine? So, endogenetic processes will increase the height of the landforms, to build up mountains, valleys, and the exogenetic processes will destroy these landforms. Exogenetic processes will destroy these landforms to form featureless plains. No features, no mountains, no valleys, ऐसा featureless plains. Fine. Right from Lahore till Calcutta, if you go, you will find कुछ नहीं, featureless है, पूरी ज़मीन flat है. You can easily see the horizon, sky touching the land because it is featureless. या दूर में खेत दिखेंगे या trees दिखेंगी. You go to peninsular India, you cannot see the horizon. At the horizon, either you will see mountain or hills. That is the difference. Why? Because this is featureless peneplain. Peninsular India is uneven topography, rock, structure. Getting it? Thus, each geomorphic process develops its own characteristic. Each geomorphic process develops its own characteristics on the landforms. Develop its own characteristics on the landforms. Tell me, is the climate changing continuously? So when the climate is changing, process is changing. Initially the earth was formed due to endogenetic processes. Then the exogenetic processes started reducing the earth ka height. But this processes, kabhi desert काम करता है, winds, kabhi वो climate, there is heavy rainfall, then there is a less rainfall, then there is sometimes ice age, glaciers come. So what the processes keep on changing? Fine, and processes change हुआ, तो landforms का shape will keep on changing. Fine. So the today's geomorphology, is it simple or is it complex? Why? Because there is continuous change, and therefore the next law is, and see, except for the first two laws, बाकी सब interrelated है. अब बहुत आसान है think करना. Fine. So except for the first two laws, that is Davis वाला law and structure वाला law, बाकी के सबके आंसर एक जैसे दिखेंगे. More or less you can write in your own language also. You have to understand the crux. So next, complexity. Complexity. This also has been your past year question. Complexity of geomorphic evolution is more common. Complexity of geomorphic evolution is more common. Evolution is more common than simplicity. Complexity of geomorphic evolution is more common than simplicity. Take an example here, no need of writing, understand Africa. Africa was joined to South America. Fine. This was Madagascar. After Madagascar, this was India. After India, this was Australia. After Australia, this entire was Antarctica. This was a single continent once upon a time. All these continents started breaking and India started moving northwards. It was near the South Pole, so यहाँ पे था glacial process. As it came near the equator, यहाँ पे hot and humid climate was there. Fine. So process has changed. As it was going northwards, sometimes where it came, this was the region jahan se there was extreme volcanic eruption. India was like a boat traveling over the oceanic crust. Can continent float over the oceanic crust? Yes, that is a true thing. You will have to wait for half an hour while the continents float over the oceanic crust. Fine. So when it was going to the north, this was the region jahan se bahut zyada volcanoes were occurring. Only the western part of India came under that volcano, and therefore here we had volcanic eruptions. As it came up, so yahan pe the rock which formed was basalt. Now basalt normally is a very strong rock, but it becomes a very weak rock when it is put under the water for continuously long time. So when it came in near this region, it experienced very hot and humid climate, everyday rainfall, and the basalt got broken into, jahan jahan nadiyan ja rahi thi, it got broken into soil. Fine. And then when it came here, in this position, actually this was not the shape of India. India was somewhat like this big continent. Fine. This was what it is. It was moving upwards. यहाँ पे whenever the Himalayas were formed, इतना जोर से collision हुआ with the Indian plate, between the Indian and Eurasian plate, that many part of India started developing crack. And this is how the crack developed in India. And after the development of crack, what happened? Again, when the second collision occurred, so the western part submerged and went below the sea, and the eastern part remained. Getting it? This was India going upwards. There was a collision, crack hua, and the western part went below the sea. Thoda bahut it went below the sea. And therefore, what we see today's India is Himalayas, but the crack is Western Ghats, Vindhyas, Satpuras, and then through the Aravallis. So for a person who was standing, who is like this, now it has gone below the sea, a person who is standing here on the western side of India, when he looks towards India from the western side, usko lagta hai it is a very continuous mountain. But it is not a mountain. What it is? A part of a plateau which has now gone below the sea. And therefore, Western Ghats. तो हम GS में पढ़ते हैं वेस्टर्न घाट्स की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, इट इज कंटिन्यूअस हैविंग ओनली 3 गैप्स, पाल घाट, बोर घाट, थाल घाट गैप. How can the mountain be continuous? Mountain cannot be continuous. It is always the plateau which is continuous or wall which is continuous. So Western Ghat looks like a wall here. And what has happened? There were numerous, once it went into the crack, फिर बारिश के बाद गोदावरी, कृष्णा, कावेरी, वाइगाई, महानदी and यहाँ पे नर्मदा and तापी. So river which was originating on the eastern side are flowing to the east, rivers which are originating on the western sides are flowing to the west. बीच में क्या है? Gap. And if we look at the atlas, you will find this is how our continental shelf, the most shallow part of the sea is like this. So यहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा wide है. Why? Because entire part has went below the sea. When the life goes below the sea, remember, when the life goes below the sea, it gets converted, if the carbon is trapped, it gets converted into petroleum and natural gas. So where we get petroleum? Gujarat and Maharashtra coast. Central government ka hai, so we call this as Bombay High Basin High. Why in this parts? Getting it? Why not in Kerala? Because Kerala ka part did not go below the sea. It is only till Karnataka it went below the sea. What does the mythology say? Krishna migrated from UP to Gujarat. He set up a city known as Dwarka in Gujarat. And where is that Dwarka? Below the sea. Fine. What does geography say? Western part is submerged. It is below the sea. Getting it? So, Eastern Ghats is a different, they are fold mountains, just like Aravalis. For that, we will have to wait till continental drift theory. And after that, Godavari, etc. have made a valley. So what you find in peninsular India, जो part बचा हुआ है, glacial landform, volcanic landforms, equatorial topography, as well as present day topography. इसलिए the statement, complexity of geomorphic features is more common than simplicity, because whatever the land that is surviving today has gone through so many different कि कभी glaciers form हुए, कभी ये हुआ, कभी वो हुआ, and therefore most of the landform is not one cycle. Glacial cycle is there, wind का cycle is there, volcanic cycle is there, and therefore landform is polycyclic, not single cycle of erosion. Numerous are acting. Now imagine if we do continuously pollution like this, if we do like this, what is predicted? Monsoon is shifting eastwards. I have taught today in the GS also why monsoon is shifting eastward. If the monsoon shifts eastward, as India becomes a desert, wind will become an active agent of erosion. So जहाँ पे monsoon और river erosion के evidences है, future में there will be desert evidences. Again, it will become more complex. Where does it apply? Older landforms, not the new landforms. So the best example is Peninsular Plateau. New landforms will have only one feature. So the Great Plains of India are monotonous. They are not having features. They are not as complex as the Peninsular Plateau. Peninsular Plateau is very complex. Canada is very complex. USA is very complex. For example, if I draw the map of USA, Canada, now this is a region of the world which was normal form, then came the Pleistocene Ice Age, and this was under the glaciers. Now when the glaciers, you already know, are very big agents of erosion, most powerful because of solid hai. The glaciers started moving in this region, and because the glaciers started moving in this region, they eroded the surface of USA, Canada to a greater extent. Because of erosion, depressions were formed. After the end of glacial period, ice melted, and in these depressions, lakes were formed. So in USA, Canada, you will find large number of lakes: Great Bear Lake, Great Slave Lake, Athabasca, Winnipeg, Winnipegosis, and ultimately the 5 Great Lakes of North America. So जितना you will go to the region जहाँ पे Pleistocene Ice Age का glaciation था, you will find numerous lakes. Norway, a country of Finland, a country of 1,000 lakes. USA, Canada, big lakes. Find lakes near us.